When I was 10 years old, my father died from cancer.
We buried like 6 people in a matter of 4 months. Kids made fun of me going to school. I hated school, man.
I didn't make enough money to buy protein. Jim Maine came up to me and said, I believe in you. I believe in you, kid.
You didn't need all the insulin, all the other garbage that everybody else is doing.
I don't need to train all year round. All I need is 3 months.
Kevin wasn't really on the radar for me.
And give it to Kevin Levrone.
That year was questionable. Maybe you could have won that show.
This one's for you, baby. I was like, why you keep doing this, man? He's like, I love the sport, Kev.
I thought I had Ronnie that year. Midsection started to extend at that moment.
Why complain?
I never complained. Tired of trying. They're just not going to give it to me.
To Kevin Levrone.
Thought about some crazy stuff. You ever think about suicide?
It just was not meant for me to be Mr. Olympia.
Hey, this is Gym Nation and we make bodybuilding documentaries. But before we start, make sure you subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. This is the story of Kevin Levrone.
I'm Kevin Levrone, and I'm inviting you to spend the next 3 days in my world, full blown.
Chapter 1. Childhood. On a calm night in Baltimore, Maryland, July 16, 1964, a boy named Kevin Mark Levrone was born. As the youngest of 6 children, he joined the Levrone family with 2 brothers and 3 sisters, who were raised by an Italian father and an African-American mother.
I look more mixed. You know, my father's Italian, my mother's black.
There was 6 of us. I was the youngest. We were 2 years apart.
Growing up in the bustling city of Baltimore, one of the largest cities in the state of Maryland, Kevin thrived amidst the lively atmosphere of the strong bond within his family. His father's consistent love and respect towards his mother set a powerful example for Kevin, shaping his understanding of what it means to be a real gentleman.
My father was a good, strong man. He respected my mother and tried to treat us well.
We had horses, we had pigs, we had ducks, we had chickens. We had a lot of animals, and we had to take care of the animals and stuff. So my job was around the house a lot.
So you had like a little farm going.
Rabbit traps, catching rabbits and rabbit hunting, all that stuff. The whole 9 yards, man. Going out, picking the eggs from the hens and just everything. It was work, man. I learned how to work with my hands and do things at a very young age.
The carefree days of his childhood were soon overshadowed by a harsh reality. At just 10 years old, in 1975, his father passed away from cancer, leaving a profound void in their lives.
When I was 10 years old, my father died from cancer.
He died in 30 days. It was like he woke up one day in a hospital and 3 weeks later we were burying him. So it was all unexpected.
He's buried a few days before Christmas. You don't have a Christmas tree that year. And then we get the phone call that my aunt died. And we were burying my father on my brother's birthday. Then the month later, my grandfather died.
Oh my
and
God.
my mother's sister died. And my cousin Larry, he ended up getting shot and getting killed. We buried like 6 people in a matter of 4 months.
Oh my God.
I remember growing up, I was always at funerals.
So we had all this stuff to deal with and live with and to try to take responsibility. And my older brother at that time was only 15 and I was the youngest one and I was 10.
And my mother always said, Kevin, don't blame God for anything. I know you're upset because your father died, but I don't have the answers. Maybe one day everything will make sense to you. And I remember looking up at her and I said, Mama, if you said God is so good, then why did he take Daddy?
Yeah.
And I wanted to know those answers. She said, Kevin, God always knows what he's doing. Never question God. And I looked up at her and she never cried. I didn't never see her cry over my father's death. And I saw that strengthen her, right? And I think that kind of like stopped me from complaining about whatever situation I was in, to just endure the pain, because I never saw her cry. And it was 7 of us she had to raise, and she never got remarried or nothing. And I was 10. I just saw that strengthen her, man. And I just endure all pain. Whatever I have to deal with, I'll endure it without complaining.
The loss of his father also led to the childhood trauma. He faced bullying at school, where kids targeted him for not having a father, making school a place he dreaded. He became more introverted, preferring isolation over the company of others.
You could think that I'm a freak when I'm talking to myself, but it's like I was too weak to be someone else.
Father used to take you to school and pick you up every day, and you're standing outside of school and you got to walk to the school bus and Daddy's not there to pick you up, and all this happened within 30 days. My whole life was turned in a different direction. I was, angry, upset. Kids made fun of me going to school because I didn't have a father. I hated school, man.
Yet amidst the sorrow, Kevin embarked on a journey of self-discovery. At just 11 years old, he found solace in karate and martial arts. 2 years later, he tried American football, even though he wasn't really into sports as a kid.
Around 11 years old, I started getting into martial arts, studying Bruce Lee, the yin and yang and the philosophy and all this stuff.
I had more of an athletic build, put it that way. Like I probably could do, play football, be a fast runner and all these. I had to develop young, real quick and fast to become a young, responsible man. And then when I turned 14, I got a working permit and I got a job and I started working, saving money up to get a car. And I had to get up to go to work and make my mother proud of me and somewhat help out around the house and do a lot of chores around the house after school.
These pursuits led him to explore outlets that helped him learn how to regulate his emotions. Chapter 2. Rising from Tragedy. By the time he reached high school at the age of 15, Kevin would find his true passion in sports after a life-changing encounter with his cousin, Dorian, who had just returned from Marine Corps. Standing under an impressive 6'5" and weighing 264 pounds of pure muscle, the young Kevin was awestruck and inspired by Dorian's physique. Ever since then, he wanted to look like him and be like him.
I didn't want to play sports on a team. I didn't need a team. All I needed was to believe in myself. And I went to the gym and I just saw my body changing. I saw the creation coming. I saw these things happen. A lot of people were saying, well, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't this. And that didn't even matter because I wasn't doing it for them. It was something here, right?
His dedication to fitness led him to spend hours in the school gym. And upon returning home, he found further inspiration from his older brothers, who had weights scattered throughout the house. This environment became the foundation of his journey into bodybuilding.
Yeah, at home, we used to have clean and jerk contests in my brother's bedroom from the floor with 110-pound concrete weights with plastic on the outside, but concrete was on the inside. Remember those? We didn't know what sets and all that stuff was. We would just pick them up and move them. I started training and I realized how strong I was. Man, I'm pretty strong. And then I had people saying, man, you're getting big quick, right? So my body just started like really changing because I put myself in an environment where there was a lot of powerlifters and guys training and stuff. I learned by looking and observing my environment.
During his high school, amidst his burgeoning passion for fitness, Kevin also met the love of his life. Little did he know then that she would not only become Mrs. Levrone, but also the mother of his children.
When I graduated out of high school, I was, 146 pounds. I was a late bloomer.
I was in that position one time where I didn't make enough money to buy protein and stuff that I needed to work out.
In his early 20s, Kevin started to see some results, weighing a natural 186 pounds. He was already winning local powerlifting competitions at 23 years old.
I've always trained heavy because I have a powerlifting background.
So I went to where the biggest guys were, and that gave me the confidence to go into my first powerlifting meet when I was probably about 21 years old. Mr. Colossus in Baltimore.
I was 186. I bench pressed 405 pounds. Wow. And that was naturally clean. That's what I did.
That same day at that powerlifting meet, there was a bodybuilding event called Mr. Colossus. I shaved my body down. We went and got some underwear and I walked on stage and I won. I was like, shit, this is pretty easy. There's something there. So I knew that if I put a diet on top of it and really started following a training regimen like a bodybuilding person, then I knew there was a possibility that my body would respond to something, right?
Following this success, many approached him, suggesting that he should consider bodybuilding. Still natural at this point, their encouragement bolstered his confidence that he could excel further.
And then I realized that the opportunity of making a lot of money, was greater for the bodybuilders. So many opportunities. I mean, I was like, you know what? One day I want to be in those Weider magazines. I want to meet Joe Weider. I was in the gym training. I would think about things like that.
Within just 1 year, Kevin's physique underwent an incredible transformation. In 1990, he competed for the first time in bodybuilding show at the Maryland State Championships, where he easily claimed victory. And just as Kevin's star was beginning to rise, tragedy struck again. Shortly after his triumphant performance in the competition, his mother tragically passed away from cancer. It was a devastating blow, leaving Kevin to grapple with the profound loss of a woman who had always supported and believed in him, yet never got to witness his burgeoning success in the sport that would define his future.
Your mom passed, how old were you?
22. My mother ended up dying from cancer. She died from cancer as well. I had to bury her myself. and watch her go through that for 6 years. And that's what my father went through. And now my mother has to suffer. And it's a very humbling experience. And it lets you know that, you know what, we're only known by what we leave behind us and what we're going to be remembered as when we're gone.
And when everyone expected this tragedy to finally break him and plunge him into despair, as the saying goes, of adversity you make men. And Kevin's journey exemplifies this truth. It was at this moment that the Sigma male within him was ignited.
It took for my mother to die for me to make the decision to start getting on some juice, because I said, you know what? I don't have anything else to live for right now. I'm going to put my life on the line to go after this passion that I wanted. And I, at that moment, I knew that I was taking my life in my own hands.
Right.
You know, the most scariest thing is to take something like steroid and put it in your body. You don't know what's going to happen.
Chapter 3. The Turning Point. Kevin's road to earning his IFBB Pro card progressed rapidly. In 1991, he competed at the NPC Junior Nationals, where his impressive physique caught everyone's attention, but he placed second to Paul DeMayo.
So I got second to Paul DeMayo. Jim Mannion came up to me, literally put his hands on my shoulders and said, I believe in you. I believe in you, kid. And he didn't even know me. I knew he was, and it shocked me. He tapped me. I turned, and it was Jim Mannion. He says, kid, I believe in you. He goes, keep doing what you're doing. You got a bright career ahead of you. He goes, show up at the National. National was 4 weeks after the juniors. He says, show up at the Nationals, and you got a bright career ahead of you. And I looked at him, and I said, Mr. Mannion, thank you. And it felt like it was a heaven, God, angel sent to tell me that. Because it kind of reminded me of something that a father would say to his son, hey, son, I'm proud of you. And when he told me that, I came home, and that's all I thought about.
Shortly after this event, Kevin won the greatest amateur bodybuilding show of all time, the 1991 NPC Nationals. He took his revenge and beat Paul DeMayo alongside legends like Ronnie Coleman, Flex Wheeler, Chris Cornier, and Matt Mendenhall.
This is tough. Flex Wheeler comes in second. Kevin Levrone from Glen Burnie, Maryland is the heavyweight winner.
This brilliant success earned him his pro card and launched his bodybuilding career.
And I ended up turning pro, 23 years old, going on 24. And after that, it was like my whole life changed. So I was this kid just working a normal job, and next thing you know, I turned pro. When you're in the middle of tragedy like that, nothing makes sense, but it all revealed itself almost after I turned pro.
When I got my pro card, Jim Mannion flew me straight to Joe Weider.
My first paid plane flight ever was to meet Joe Weider, actually. Having this opportunity to be in the presence of him, I felt like I was walking the same steps as the former champions, Lee Haney, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Frank Zane, and so much history happened in that building. Sat there, you meet Joe, and you hear that voice. I just sat and I listened. His thoughts and his ideas and his vision and everything. It was around you. It was in the office. All the Remington statues that he had, the bodybuilding paintings, and just his voice and everything. It's just a presence that was there, was very, very powerful. And you felt like you were just part of something historical, great.
Say you're a Weider athlete, it was something grand because not everybody made it. Not everybody got that opportunity to even communicate with Joe Weider.
Joe talked to us. Joe mentored us. Joe, okay, let me see your front double bicep. Let me see your side chest. Let me see your bicep peak. He talked to me about all of these things, and I had to sit there and I had to pose and I had to show him what I had.
Okay, we're going to bring you into, Weider Publications. This is what we expect of you. Mm-hmm. We expect you to be in shape all year round, pretty much close to it. Yep. We also expect you to represent the sport. We expect you to show up at these appearances and treat 6, 7, 8 appearances a year we had to do.
To go from just a kid doing construction and having a dream to become a bodybuilder and walking and having the respect that I had arrived on the IFBB scene. I ended up coming home, I think, after the photo shoots. 5 months later, I was out in the magazines just before I was ready to walk on stage.
In 1992, Levrone launched one of the greatest pro careers of all time by winning the Grand Prix Germany just a week after his debut.
It was just amazing to see guys in person that I had looked up to in the magazines. All this stuff just happened within a matter of a year.
A few months later, he triumphed at one of the premier IFBB shows. the Night of Champions. These victories earned him a qualification for the biggest show in bodybuilding, Mr. Olympia. With Lee Haney deciding to retire after the 1991 Mr. Olympia, 1992 competition was expected to be an easy win for the previous runner-up, Dorian Yates. With Lee Labrada, a former second-place finisher in 1990, and Shaw Ray, who had placed 3rd and 5th in the previous 2 years. Lou Ferrigno was also making a comeback after 17 years.
Well, that title was wide open.
Kevin wasn't really on the radar for me. I seen that he won the Night of Champions, but for some reason I wasn't really thinking it would be a challenge yet.
I really didn't even have Dorian on my radar, and I was just relying on genetics and structure and stuff. So my mind was just so focused on getting to the stage and presenting myself the best way that I could.
Kevin at his first Olympia had nothing to lose. He came in with 236 pounds with an outstanding physique, small waist, wide shoulders, and shredded to the bone.
I thought I had a good chance of winning, you know?
Yeah.
I just wasn't ready. I didn't have enough experience. I was very, very young.
Yeah.
That was my first Mr. Olympia.
Sure.
You know, I didn't have a team behind me.
After the showdown, Kevin was already ahead of the biggest contenders with Lee Labrada coming in 3rd place. Kevin had only one man to beat, and his name was Dorian Yates.
So Kevin was the new guy on the block.
Dorian was 230 something. So that was very, 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 very close.
Despite having great aesthetics and well-developed delts, biceps, and chest, Levrone could not compete with Dorian's muscularity, especially in the back, lower back, and lower body. The shadow Dorian Yates claimed the #1 spot, with Kevin coming in 2nd in his first Olympia.
It was just phenomenal, finishing ahead of so many awesome, great bodybuilders and people who you look up to. It was just a dream come true. Coming off the show, I felt like I had a chance to possibly be Mr. Olympia one day, but I had no idea that Dorian Yates was going to come back and consistently grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And if I had won the Mr. Olympia, I would have not competed anymore.
Chapter 4. Overcoming Adversity. Soon after Olympia, another tragedy struck, as several of Kevin's close relatives passed away from cancer as well. And as they say, misfortunes do not come singly. Several months later, an accident occurred while Kevin was bench pressing 600 pounds, resulting in a complete tear of his minor and major pec muscles.
Came home from the 92 Olympia, tore my chest, bench pressing 600 pounds. Didn't work out for 6 months. I lost close to 40 pounds. My body went. I couldn't even do a push-up. I couldn't even bench a 45-pound incline bar. It hurt so bad. This was in July. I had to be on stage to compete in the Olympia in September. 3 months I had to get figuring out how to train, how to do anything. And I did all that in 3 months.
Levrone needed immediate surgery to reattach both of his muscles. The injury was so severe that it required 2 surgeries, one of which lasted over 8 hours. During his recovery from the first surgery, he got an infection which made things more complicated for the American, and many experts thought it would be difficult for him to return to the stage.
That was an opportunity for me to do something that really had never really been done in the sport, and that was to get myself healed, pray to God, tap into if I could come back or not.
Kevin was so anxious about the injury that he kept it a secret from the Weiders, fearing that his inability to compete would cost him his contract.
Didn't tell Joe Weider. I remember calling Jim Maine. I said, I slightly injured my chest. Slightly injured my chest. I called Lee Haney. Lee Haney said, how'd you do it? I said, I was doing dumbbells. And I lied. I lied because I was scared I might lose my contract, because no bodybuilder had ever came back from a chest tear and competed and did well.
Needless to say, he had to take a considerable break from weightlifting, but still managed to do exceptionally well later that year by placing 2nd in the Grand Prix of Finland and winning the 1993 Grand Prix in Germany. However, the consequences of this injury were apparent in the 1993 Olympia, where he placed 5th.
I went from 2nd down, and that's what happened. I said, if I had more time, God knows what I could do. I said, all right. Arnold came to me. He said, hey, do you mind coming to the Arnold Classic? No problem. I went to the Arnold Classic in 1994 and I won. I was back.
Here's the very talented Kevin Levrone, who last year made an amazing comeback from injury and adversity.
I was done. Do I look like I'm done?
He bounced back to his peak form in 1994, securing his first victory in Arnold Classic, which earned him the nickname Maryland Muscle Machine, solidifying his place among the elite of the bodybuilding world. After winning the Arnold Classic and dealing with his injury, Kevin realized that he didn't need to train all year round. Instead, he could focus intensely for just 3 months leading up to the Mr. Olympia.
Everybody talks about the time off in between shows Kevin Levrone used to take. Can you tell me first, was that something you did from the very beginning of your bodybuilding career? And did you do it every year, or was it just later on in your career?
So I trained from the Mr. Olympia to that, Arnold, in March. So I was back 100%. Then I realized I won an Arnold Classic. I said, if I'm healthy, I don't need to train all year round. All I need is 3 months, 4 months. And that's how I stumbled over that. I thought it was a stupid idea, but it wasn't a stupid idea.
Yeah.
It happened because I was injured. I know I won the Arnold Classic in 94. You know, that was it for me. I was like, you know what? I can do what it takes these guys 12 months to do. I could do it in 4 months, 3 months. And that's what I did.
He had the ability to put on muscle at a rate that was ridiculous. And, you know, at the top of the level, you're looking at 600 milligrams of test, 400 deca, and run anadrol for 6 weeks. And that's it. It's over with. That's all he needed to grow. I mean, he didn't need 1,000 milligrams, 1,200 milligrams of test. He didn't need all this stuff trend. He didn't need all the other insulin, all the other garbage that everybody else is doing. Kevin was a basic guy. Test, deca, throw in some draw the last 6 weeks.
During the 1994 Mr. Olympia, Dorian had certain flaws in his physique, such as torn biceps, bloated waist, and less than ideal separation in certain muscle groups. These imperfections opened the door for many competitors to bring their bests. Kevin arrived in the competition in an improved condition, showcasing ample size and an impressive stage presence. However, his path was challenged by an unexpected standout, Shawn Ray. His exceptional symmetry, his proportions, lines, and overall flow were considered one of the best aesthetics physique in history, and particularly at this night. Eventually, Dorian took first place, Shawn in second, and Kevin in third, which did not sit well with the audience, who expressed their discontent with loud boos. After this, Kevin knew he had to put in more work to dethrone Yates. He went straight back to the gym, preparing intensely for the 95 Olympia.
This is my cycle. I wouldn't live outside of the cycle. I wouldn't go to the mall, I wouldn't go to the movies, I wouldn't go to eat dinner nowhere, I wouldn't go to family reunions, I wouldn't talk to nobody, I wouldn't do anything. Cycling, very, very serious. You know, my life was on the line, my health was on the line, and I meant business. I mean, I was going up against Dorian Yates, for God's sake. You see all these black and white pictures of him over there in England. I mean, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
And exactly as everyone expected, Kevin was clearly better than 94. The prejudging narrowed the competition down to the final 4. Kevin Levrone, Dorian Yates, Shawn Ray, and significantly improved Nasser El Sombati. After several comparisons between Nasser and Shawn Ray, Nasser moved on to the top 3, replacing Ray. Meanwhile, Kevin and Dorian fiercely battled for the number 1 spot. Despite Kevin's incredible shape and hard work, it wasn't enough to surpass Dorian. With his unbeatable combination of size and conditioning, Dorian was hotter and drier than everyone else in the show. Many believe this was the best shape of his career. In the end, Levrone placed second to Dorian for the 6th time of his career.
Competitor number 18, Kevin Levrone.
Kevin didn't take this personally. He knew it was just business as usual. He continued competing and winning shows, even defeating Flex Wheeler again and clinching his 2nd Arnold Classic title in 1996.
He was upset about that show.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was at the height of his acting career during this time, and the Arnold Classic shows opened doors for bodybuilders to go beyond the stage. Kevin, in particular, had the opportunity to get close to Arnold, who recognized his hard work and talent. This led to be a lasting friendship between the two legends.
Arnold was the one that bridged that gap for us. Back then, the winners, we had an opportunity to spend some time with him. It opened a lot of doors for me because that was the opportunity that I had to ask Arnold, and Arnold actually brought me out to the movie set of In the Days. Wow. You know? And I remember packing so much stuff because I wasn't so used to traveling and everything back then. And Arnold says, "What are you doing?" And I spent like 3 days with him. And we spent some time talking, and he says, "Hey, I want you to read these books, and then when you read these books, get in touch with me, let me know you're done reading these books." And I did that. If you work hard and he sees that you work hard, then he admires that.
Hi, I'm Kevin Levrone, and I'm inviting you to spend the next 3 days in my world, full blown.
Despite popular belief that Kevin never fully committed to his Olympia preparations, as he only trained for 3 months, those months were hell for him. It wasn't just the pressure to be flawless, it was also Kevin's one-of-a-kind mentality. He was an all-or-nothing man, pushing himself to the absolute limit.
So when you say all or nothing, I've heard stories, you know, Kevin ate fish and only fish for like months on end. I've heard, you know, Kevin sleeps on the floor because it's harder and he likes to suffer. Like I hear these things and I'm like, is this real or is this?
Yeah, it's true.
There was no room for mistakes. You didn't have time to really compromise, go back and fix a mistake. So my preparation started mentally, you know, paint these pictures in my head, what you guys were doing. For me, I had to put myself in this solitude place after my training.
My name's Kevin Levrone. I'm tired and I don't feel like talking because I've been dieting for the Mr. Olympia. Bye now, leave me alone. Joan will take over now.
Hi, I'm Joan. I'm Kevin's partner. He calls me Mama, and this is my husband, and he calls him Papa. And Mama and Papa take care of our baby Kevin.
I would go to a room, I would have this certain room in my house where it was just empty. And when I get done working out, that's where I would sleep. That's where I would do my 12-week, 16-week preparation. And as I would sleep, meditate about the show, but I would lay like I had a Mac 90 machine gun. I had, you know, my M16. I had, seriously, dude, I had like my 9mm
What's Beretta. With the weapons, man?
It was like when you diet and you put yourself in that war zone, you have to think that you're like a soldier and think that, you know, the suffering and the pain and everything else is going to pay off.
Right now, I want to suffer. I want to feel the pain. I want to feel what it feels like to just go without. To spend time with yourself. Spend time away from distraction, away from people who distract you, who take your time away from you.
I didn't need any food. I needed to completely visualize myself going about on war, but for me, it was a different type of war. Instead of grabbing them guns, but having the guns there and looking at the bullets and the ammunition and stuff, it was crazy. It just put me in that mindset. So I would go to sleep like that, wake up 4:30 in the morning, and the first thing I would do was go to gym. Think like a soldier, train like a soldier, be a soldier. We did it because we wanted to be Mr. Olympia. We really wanted to be Mr. Olympia. It was times where I just felt like I wasn't gonna make it, you know what I mean? That dark place. Thought about some crazy stuff, man. Thought about, you know, just some really crazy stuff. You ever think about suicide?
Well, bodybuilding's not for everybody, for sure.
You have to be a great decision maker about life.
Believe it or not, I'm only human. I do feel like quitting. I do feel like giving up. Sometimes you just don't have nobody to talk to.
I missed 7 years of my family's family reunions. Well, mostly for me, it was because it reminded me of my parents.
And that's what this is all about. And I always tell you guys, you can do this. You can do this. Never quit. Never give up on yourself. Levrone Report in the house. We are shabam.
However, at the 96 Olympia, Kevin's conditioning wasn't at its peak, as he was holding onto a bit of water. Despite not being on his best form, he still managed to secure third place. Sean Ray shocked the crowd that night, coming remarkably close to dethroning Dorian. The next European Grand Prix revealed that Kevin's physique was beginning to decline, and he no longer had the advantage he once had. With an increasing number of massive competitors stepping onto the stage, Kevin found it increasingly challenging to maintain his previous dominance. Placing 8th in the Arnold Classic 97 was the worst placing in his entire career.
I can't remember what happened to you in 97.
Tore my tricep.
Tore your tricep, yeah.
Continued by 4th in 97 Olympia, one of the most controversial Olympias ever. While many believed Kevin would follow Dorian's path and retire from bodybuilding, he surprised everyone by bouncing back quickly. He dominated the European tour, winning 6 out of 7 shows. The European tours that followed the Olympia were incredibly competitive, yet the camaraderie among the bodybuilders made it the best era in bodybuilding history. Kevin had countless memories from those tours, where fierce rivalry was matched with a deep sense of brotherhood.
My secret surprise guest is walking in. I want you guys all to meet him. Yo!
Hey, that's the dude that left me hanging last time, and he's still.
I remember Milos and Sonny Schmidt. Those two would eat up carbs. They love carbs, right? Even NASA had a thing about NASA. You put food in front of him, especially when you had to diet for a show. If you put something in front of him, it's hard for him to not eat it. And I knew this, and I was on tour with these guys. I knew that it was going to run out over a period of time, so I went ahead and I brought all the food on the trolley on the train, and I just stored it away. And I said, "Oh man, by the way, I got some stuff right here, some potato chips or something." So I was loading them up with junk, man. And I was on the flight. These flights are like 8 hours long.
Yeah, they're long, yeah.
So got an idea.
I was looking around like this, and I talked to a stewardess. I'm like, look, you guys fly all the time, right? What do you do so you don't blow up with fluid? You know what she told me? She says, well, you see what we're doing. We're constantly moving, right? I said, so constantly moving, it keeps the blood flowing. She goes, yeah, when you sit there in that spot, your body retains fluid. I says, okay. So I started getting up.
Yeah.
And then I would just walk up and down the aisles. And I said, I'm not going to eat any food on this flight. I didn't drink any water. So I would just walk up and down and just start talking to all the guys. Hey, Sonny, what's going on?
Kevin would literally, from over the ocean, come and talk to all of us.
Yeah, that's what. That's
we were talking about. You know, Lee Priest was there. NASA was there. These guys were tired. They were sitting back like, Ronnie, just shut up. And I'm walking up and down the aisle, goofing off and everything, doing the whole entire flight the whole time. I knew what I was doing, but they didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So when the plane landed, it was time to go on stage.
Yeah.
The next day, I was ripped, right?
Once you get to the destination, when people check in, what do you do first? Kevin would go straight to the bar.
Instead of eating rice, potatoes, I could have a shot. And that's carbohydrates. It just calmed me, and I woke up and I was hard and I just felt good.
However, his decision at the last show of the tour would prove to be his worst, introducing Ronnie Coleman to the vodka.
Ronnie Coleman competed like 7 years and he would get dead last. He didn't have enough money to take the flights because he wasn't sponsored by Joe Weider. He would take his own money and catch the train. And Ronnie would catch the train from Spain to Germany, from Germany to Czechoslovakia. It would take 8 hours for him to get somewhere. And he would get dead last in every show.
And he didn't give up.
It was crazy. And I was like, why you keep doing this, man? He's like, you know, I love the sport, Kevin. So he came to my room, right? And I gave him a few shots of vodka. Yeah. Ronnie, come on. I don't drink no alcohol. Oh, man, that's some good stuff right there. Have more shots, big dog. I don't drink no alcohol, but if you say have some more shots, I'm going to go ahead and try it then.
Kevin would beat Ronnie Coleman for the last time at the 98 San Francisco Pro. Ronnie's reign began in 98 Olympia, where he stunned everyone with his exceptional performance. Kevin placed 4th that night, and even with the improvement he made and all the hard work he puts in the following year, his placing was the same as before. He came 4th in 1999 Olympia, despite having everything to win.
The crowd might get, hello, my friend, we'll meet again.
Yeah, see?
It's been a while, where should we begin?
Kevin had always possessed a creative mind, which he nurtured from a young age. However, it was at the year 2000 that he decided to elevate his creativity to the next level by forming a band called Full Blown with some of close friends.
I never took lessons on how to play it. I could just play music, yeah. I would just like sing in the shower, you know what I mean? People are like, wow, you sound good. I'm like, wow, really? Music takes you on journeys. Nothing else will take you on.
Chapter 5, Uncrowned King.
The truth is, I should have won the Miss Olympia 4 years ago. Yates tore his bicep.
At 36 now, Kevin is more experienced than ever. This time he took his prep seriously heading to the 2000 Mr. Olympia and had his mind set to dethrone Ronnie Coleman.
I had beaten everyone before on the Mr. Olympia stage except Dorian Yates. So when he retired, I thought, wow, you know, I might have a shot, which was in 2000. I gave it all I had in 2000.
Love you, baby.
This one's for you, baby.
I felt as though I had Ronnie because at that show he had he had just put on a little more size and lost some lines around the midsection, even though he was massive, but I felt like I had the complete package.
While Ronnie was undoubtedly a dominant force, his physique was so soft. He had a big bubble gut, he was lacking the aesthetics. Critics pointed out difficulties in his posing routine, especially in maintaining certain poses. In comparison to Kevin Levrone, Kevin had a tight and well-defined conditioning. His aesthetics were on another level.
One of the best routines, Kevin, was 2000. I was watching from home.
Levrone brought a balanced, symmetrical physique that showcased every muscle group flawlessly, from his well-defined triceps to his perfectly shaped shoulders. Kevin's physique was a work of art. If there was any year that Kevin deserved the victory, it was undoubtedly this one.
And a check for $55,000 to Kevin Levrone.
A roar of both cheers and boos echoed throughout the arena as Kevin Levrone was announced as the second-place finisher. Kevin poured every ounce of effort into his performance, yet he still couldn't win the title. Kevin believed to this day that that year's Olympia was rigged in favor of Ronnie Coleman winning the competition.
That year was questionable. Maybe, you could have won that show.
I thought I had Ronnie that year. I never complained, Fouad. I never complained about any of my placings. I've always sucked it up regardless.
While everyone in his position would just give up, Kevin came back again in 2001.
Why complain? How many times have I whipped you in competitions? More than you beat me, brother.
You count them up.
You know what?
You count them up and you tell me
More
about
than you beat me, baby.
Kevin. You count them up and you tell me about it.
Hey, Kevin. Maybe about 9, 8, 9 times.
When was the last time you beat me?
Hey, Kevin.
What have you done for me lately?
Hey, Kevin.
Kevin and Ronnie faced an unexpected challenge that year. Jay Cutler, a relative newcomer to the Olympia stage. When the results were announced, Kevin took third place, with Jay Cutler coming second and Ronnie Coleman controversially claiming another Olympia victory. Just when everyone was ready to write him off, Kevin demonstrated his uncanny ability to surprise and silence his critics once again. His comeback at the 2002 Olympia was nothing short but spectacular. In Las Vegas that night, he pushed Coleman in his midsection to the limit, coming agonizingly close to victory.
You go back and you look at those pictures, Ronnie's midsection was starting to extend at that moment. He didn't have that tight look in his compulsories. He would let his midsection go and you could see it hanging out and everything. He wasn't as ripped and shredded that year. And I felt like that year, going through the compulsories, I felt like I had the better package.
However, it was a case of deja vu. The Olympia curse persisted, earning Kevin the nickname of the Uncrowned King of Mr. Olympia.
Tired of trying, tired of getting second place. I got second at the Olympia 4 times. And just being that close, man, how many times is this going to keep happening before you really say, you know what, they're just not going to give it to me. And you realize that, you know what, I won every show in the world more than once. Yeah. What is it about this Mr. Olympia that I just cannot win? It just was not meant for me to be Mr. Olympia. And Joe Weider told me before he passed away, and I said, Joe, how come I can't win? And he said, it's not that you're not good enough to win. It's not that Flex Wheel is not good enough to win, or Sean Ray isn't good enough to win. It's not that, Levrone. He said, this is a business, but if I take you guys and I shuffle you guys around first, second, or third, I'm still going to make the same amount of money. Dorian opens up another whole umbrella, opens up another whole market in his business. He said, don't take that personal. It made sense. And I didn't take it personal. And I never complained. Even if I got second, I never complained. But what I did was, he says, you're in shape. Why don't you go in all the other shows, win that money, and you'll come home with a lot more money than the Mr. Olympia made. I've gotten second. 2 of the greatest backs ever in the history of our sport ever have existed. Those are the guys that I was getting second behind. And those are the guys that I was pulling lat spreads to. So for me, I'm good. I'm happy with the package and the genetics that God has given me. Made the best out of it. And I can't say shoulda, woulda, coulda if I had did this. I did the best that I could do with the physiques and the time training and everything that I dealt with. And so did Sean and so did Flex. So did Chris Cormier and everybody else. And I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Going through it and seeing it and living it, I think, I could take this guy out. And there were moments where I thought I could and everything. But now you sit back and you think, wow, Dorian Yates he was ahead of us, man. He was light years ahead of us. Ronnie Coleman was light years ahead of us.
Chapter 6. Retirement.
Well, I tore my tricep doing lat pull down.
The 2003 show of Strength Pro was the last show Kevin competed in before he said his competition days were over. Kevin has won 23 trophies, along with numerous medals, when including second and third placings. He held the record for the most IFBB victories until 2004 when Ronnie Coleman surpassed him. Later on, Dexter Jackson also claimed the title.
I just continued to move on and to try to get better and went on to win everything else around the world. And looking back now, it just wasn't meant for me to be Mr. Olympia because that was my goal. If I had won Mr. Olympia, I would have never competed again.
Even though he did not officially announce his retirement, Levrone explained that he decided to try something different and that he didn't have any desire to continue competing at that time. In 2004, there were rumors that Kevin remarried his ex-wife after their divorce in the year 2000. Around that time, he welcomed his first child, Gabe Levrone, who inherited his father's remarkable genetics.
Hey guys, Kevin Levrone and my son Gabriel. Say hi, son. So we want to say happy what? Father's Day from the Levrone Report.
I was talking to your dad a couple hours ago. He said, up until a few years ago, you never knew he was famous. Wow. Like he didn't.
I downloaded it and I was making it by myself. I put Gabe Levrone and the recommended was like in your contacts, Kevin Levrone. I looked and it was like 200 something thousand followers, and that's when I figured out. I was like, Dad, is this you? Like, yeah, son. I wouldn't want to be like the big ones. I want to be like a swimsuit, like one of those lean ones.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I want to be
Oh
like
man, you just lost all the Levrone fans.
You're talking about
for saying that.
men's physique with the board shorts, right, Gabe?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
What?
Yeah,
You're not even talking about classic bodybuilding?
I want to be big.
However, Gabe chose a career path of a professional sprinter, charting his own course distinct from his father's illustrious bodybuilding legacy.
Gabriel's 6 foot right now. He
15?
just turned 17. He's 6 foot. He's about 170, 75 pounds right now. So he's finding his way, out there.
During the time of his retirement from competing, Levrone also enjoyed playing other sports such as tennis and golf. He has also acted in several films, including Backlash the year 2005 and Redline the year 2007, and featured in a number of bodybuilding documentaries. Levrone also became a musician and released the singles double duo Avalanche and See the Light in 2015 before releasing God Knows in 2018. The American also launched his supplement line in 2015 and an online training platform in March 2016. Levrone never officially retired from bodybuilding and instead gradually distanced himself from the sport. His most recent appearances were on the Mr. Olympia 2016 stage, when he was offered a special invitation to compete and come back like he had never left.
Back in 2003, when I had stopped competing, I never announced. There's not one video anywhere of me announcing my retirement. 14 years of competing, but I still had that fire. There was something down inside that just wasn't sitting right with me. Unfortunately, it took 14 years for me to come back, just to put that little, that Rocky movie, something burning in the base,
Something down there, yeah.
And I'm glad I did, man. I feel good. I feel good that I did it,
After that, Kevin embarked on a journey to Italy in search of his family, a quest that remains unresolved to this day. By the way, if you have any information regarding this, please leave a comment below. Kevin Levrone reflects on his life's journey since losing his father in 1975 and his mother in 1990. He has traveled far and wide, faced highs and lows, and realized a deeper meaning for him.
Guy who's going through something. Hey, that dude who got cancer, that kid who doesn't have a dad or a mom. Hey, I was there, man. You just hold on, because it didn't make sense to me when I was 10, but it makes sense to me now. So just hold on and hang in there,
You were born special. You were born with a gift. You were born with being able to bring your own unique abilities and gift to this world, and you have so much more to offer.
Gotta take your time, gotta work hard. There's no easy way around this. You cannot get success out of a steroid bottle, okay?
You can't run those kind of doses these guys are running today and stay healthy. I don't care. They can fool themselves all they want. It's not going to happen.
I feel that out of all the competitors that I ever competed with, that Kevin is the greatest athlete that I ever competed with in my life.
Life isn't just about own experiences. It's about sharing a gift that shines light into others' lives.
To every judge that has judged me, and to every photographer and writer that poured his heart and soul out so that the world could see, and to all my fans and loved ones that cried for me, this one's for you, baby.
Shut. Boom. We are out of here. Goodbye.
And that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you like it. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to this channel if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Bum chakarakari konstubin akarakari shtina bistarin dabin akka.